Hi there. We're going to be going over an introduction to debating. Hopefully you've got some experience with debating. We're not going to be looking at the rules of debate, but instead we're going to be considering ways to formalize your thinking around determining who has won a debate and what has been done well and been done poorly by the speakers in it. So firstly, we're going to be looking at persuasiveness. So persuasiveness is the biggest question in debating. A debate should come down to the question, which team was more persuasive in accordance with the rules of debate? So this comes first and is above all other considerations. So all other issues are secondary to the question, which team was more persuasive? Whichever team was more persuaded you better that their side, affirmative or negative, if the argument is true, they should win the debate. So keep individual scores as you go along. However, if these individual scores vary when you add them up for each team, if the outcome varies massively from which team you thought was more persuasive, firstly, that shouldn't happen if you are scoring each individual speaker on persuasion and persuasiveness too. However, if it does, really have a think about which team was more persuasive in the debate. Importantly, under this model of overall persuasion being who won a debate, there's nothing a team can ever do to instantly lose or win a debate. So swearing at the opposition probably isn't a good idea, but doing something like not having a very good definition or forgetting to rebut, it's not going to do you much good, but it's not an instant loss in the debate. So if there's something terrible that a team's done, criticize them for it, but make sure that you are still giving the debate to the team that you found more persuasive, not just the team that did the least well, although often they will be the same team. Finally, under this model, neither team has the burden of proof in debating. So both affirmative and negative are on equal footing. So make sure that you don't use a burden of proof or onus of proof model in determining who won. We'll now move on to scoring. So as you're probably aware, debates are scored out of 100, but really within a range of about 70 to 80 with an average of 75. Matter out of 40, average 30, and methods out of 20 with an average of 15. So that adds up to 100 or 75. Here's a table from the Australia-Asia Debating Guide that summarizes expected scores for values of speeches. As you'll see, if you add up all the poor scores or all the excellent scores, you'd actually get a value like 65 or 85, well outside the range we want. So keep in mind that it's very rare to get scores outside the range of 72 to 78. Save this for really incredible circumstances, such as when someone speaks for a minute or you've seen the best speech ever. I'm sure you will have some familiarity with debating, and so you'll have seen scores given in the past. Hopefully you can use that. So now we'll look at the elements of debating. So firstly, matter. So matter has two elements, logic and relevance. So logic just covers good analysis, that the arguments make sense, and the conclusion follows from the premises. You should be able to judge that without too much training. Relevance is really the answer to the question, supposing everything they've said is true, why does that actually matter in terms of the debate? So does the conclusion that they've drawn from all their arguments actually prove anything that helps their side? So for example, if we had that cats are better than dogs, you could argue that dogs are fabulous all you like, but dogs being fabulous does not prove that cats are not better than them. So you would need to argue that dogs are fabulous and therefore cats are not better than them using some comparison there. So considering relevance is often a really good idea for structuring your final adjudication, because it ensures that you are like laying out very clearly what contributed to winning the debate and what didn't. So factor in the amount of matter and rebuttal that all speakers do. If they really don't have a long speech at all, you might give them a low matter mark. Next up is manner. So this is probably the hardest to mark because it's in a way the most subjective, although there are some objective components. So consider body language and vocal style, and that includes both the tone and intonation of their voice and also their use of language and somewhat use of words. So mark this on an individual level in the sense that different manner works for different people, and there's no pro forma manner that will apply in every scenario. Ask what most helps this speech to be persuasive. Don't mark down things that people can't control, like speech impediments or having English as their second language. And make sure to always factor in manner a little to your decision. Make sure that you are at least aware of it, because it's sometimes tempting to get focused on only the logical content of the debate, but manner is 2/5 of a debating mark, so make sure you are considering it at least a little when adjudicating. Finally is method. So method has responsiveness and structure. So responsiveness is how much their speech makes sense in the debate. So this is stuff like rebuttal, stuff like not arguing things that the opponent has pre-rebutted. This is probably trickiest in secret topic debates, but also comes up in prepared debates where people often see that the other teams use a strategy that nullifies some of their material, and hopefully they can think on the fly and move around that. Structure is like signposting, how much the speech flows, and how easy it is to follow. Now, structure doesn't need to just be the one structure. There's not one perfect structure in debating. Like, they don't need to say good morning, and then if they don't say good morning or good afternoon or good evening or whatever, you mark them down. No, more abstract approaches can work with structure. And then there's team structure, which is how much a team's case works together and all flows well. Teams don't need a team line per se, and they don't need a sentence that they all say, but a consistent message across the team is helpful in having good team structure. So finally, how do you want to take notes on the debate? Well, this is a very personal question. Like, everyone does it differently. I like to do it by getting one sheet of paper for each pair of speakers, like first affirmative, first negative, dividing it down the middle, writing notes on first affirmative and first negative on each side. You can do it how you like. It's probably best to take notes speaker by speaker, but if you have another method that you think works, have a go at that. Remember to look up while writing to gauge manner and actually experience the speech, because often you'll be so focused on the matter and that's not the whole of the debate. And make sure, if you need to, take time between speeches to just work out where the debate is at and who you think has won. So overall, reminder, the most important question in debating is to ask, who was I most persuaded?